I always give those 15 seconds to let my what's ever rolling on the feed, if it's music, whatever, and my intros go ahead and play, whether it's on the screen or not. I always kind of give that the leeway to let the videos begin. Thank you guys for stepping in and being on. I had a couple off the cuffs recently that I've been seeing. When I record this, you will see what follows those off the cuffs, and we get into some pretty good episodes of. I just was sharing my experiences with have increased, but I'm not going to really go into that today. I'm glad to have you guys all here. I will go into that into another date. Them who are interested. I just want people to realize I'm not bragging or echo. I'm just telling you we have those, and if I experience, I'm just being real. I do. You don't have these experiences and maintain consciousness staying in ego. You will see ego pop up on yourself, and you start recognizing, discerning it, and you kind of know when the ego goes into the lower ego, which is always going to protect fears and propagate fears. So, because that's what the lower ego does. But anyways, I was asked, we have a couple listeners here who have lived in areas that have gone through this horrific times, right, of what's happening over in the South. Certain areas with, I even seen Mississippi had its Florida, Mississippi, definitely connected to the Carolinas, have had some rough times. I heard about Mississippi when I was changing the television, and I kind of went in and listened to a little bit of the Mississippi game, and they were talking about it. So I listened to what was there because the reports, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really hone in too much on the news to decode it or anything. I just sick of the propaganda, and not necessarily that this is propaganda, but what's happening. That's what they're not going to tell you, how this is happening, why this is happening. And I'd mentioned on the past video, BlackRock had bought an area that was flooded out, which is full of lithium, and they're going to open lithium mines. They spent a 90 million. And this is the old game. And then the people's property is unlivable. The property's destroyed. They'll pay them the minimum amount, probably what they bought it for, not what it's worth now, because that's how they operate. But anyways, so shout out to both Darlene and both Patty, who are on and always give me feedback, and I really appreciate you too over there in the South, and that what's going on with you. Our hearts and minds go to you guys all the time for what you're going through, and I know you guys will come through this like the troopers you are and be the help there that you are by helping people. But I was asked not long ago by Patty to do some stuff on some stuff I had not really did. I don't go on this channel, if you're really aware, I don't go much into what we've called conspiracy theories. Well, it's not what I call it. It's what's been called and the label given it by the CIA. And you go, why the CIA? It was because of what happened after when Kennedy had his assassination. They had to come up with a new word, as people were saying, nope, this wasn't legit. Look how it turned out. Look, nope. This is definitely something up to it, right? And when you go into that, then you kind of start knowing how this works. And then they came up with a coin, conspiracy theorist, which is a CIA program coin. We're going to go in here. We're going to talk about the things that I hardly ever talk about today. So we're going to talk about something that you receive, and we're going to talk about certificates, especially one when you come out of the womb. And I got some videos to share and some information to share about it. I'm going to do a couple of different of these kind of videos. Why not? We need to cover some stuff that maybe we haven't, so why not cover it? So we're going to listen to a couple of videos by some people who are definitely right. Whoa! Why is that up there? Whoa! It's not up there. Let me stop the screen. Why aren't they there? I know what I did wrong. Danny, you're making your beginner mistake this time, which I don't normally do. But anyways, yeah, we're going to talk about some things. I got two short videos. This first video is very, very well put together, kind of cartoonish, right? But it's going to tell you the overall within 14 minutes, I believe. It might be a little less, 13 minutes, of how the system of the BCs work. Remember, I said certificates, and the one that comes exactly when you come out the womb. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to get to the videos, and I'm going to talk about it afterwards. I have 2 short videos. This one is about the truth about your birth certificate.
The government. It loves you and wants to keep you safe and well. It even wants to make paying taxes, fines, and court costs easier for you. How? Well, you'll need to meet your straw man. He was born the same day you were. He looks like you, has the same name, and lives in your house, but you never knew he existed. You will have even paid his parking ticket for taxes. The worst part? He's been dead from day one. From every birth certificate, a legal personality, or legal fiction, is created with the same name to confuse little old you into thinking it's you. So, there is a human you and a paper you, or as it's commonly known, a straw man.
Notice it said a real you, organic, and a fake you, a straw man. Notice it says you, paper you, because it comes from the paper ones, the papacy. Yeah, let's get a little farther. I'll interject some, and we'll talk afterwards. But I got even a short video. This one's only 8 minutes. I was wrong, and the other one's not very much longer. So
when it seems like government officials, court clerks, or the police are speaking English, they aren't. They're speaking legalese, designed to make you agree to verbal and written contracts without even knowing about it, all spun from Black's Law Dictionary. For example, when the police say, "Do you understand?" you'll say, "Yes." What they are really saying is, "Do you stand under our authority?" Oops-a-daisy, you just created a verbal contract with them. Oh, you clever government. Do you know that whenever you register something, you are handing over title to the person you register it with? That's right. Whenever you register something with the government, they assume it belongs to them. Registered your car? Super! Now you are the registered keeper of your vehicle, and the government can crush it when you don't pay your, straw man's taxes. Expecting a new bundle of joy? Well, then you need to register your little darling with a birth certificate. Then they can start the process all over again and create a new straw man for your little one. Isn't that great? So when Junior grows up, he'll be able to generate revenue just like you have. When you notify on your baby by signing the birth certificate, your child becomes a ward of state. And if the government doesn't like what you're doing, they'll assume it's okay to take the child away or make new rules.
Had to go get me something to drink, so I heard everything went into the contract. Like I've mentioned many times, the contract that we see signed by these different entities, especially when you're dealing with entertainment, and why certain things happen in sports, music, all the entertainments, movies, all that, and the bad deals in what happens when it ends, which always happens that way. And then the birth certificate. How sweet, right? The birth certificate. And it was connected. This is all about registering, which is the registrar, which means it's which the word registrar goes to the king or the queen. And this is where you have, this has really been blue blood stuff, been ran on us from the beginning. We're really not, you're in the, somebody made a good point the other day, because I would look, I've definitely talk different governmental things off the cuff. And I don't mean my show. I don't really go much here. And a lot of it was with YouTube is, since 2019, 2020, I mean, they were censoring us, which is illegal and unconstitutional. One more time, illegal and unconstitutional. And this kind of stuff that they were doing, right? So always hesitant because people get strikes here and stuff like that. But I just noticed I've been watching other videos, and they're straight out saying stuff, and they're not getting niched for it. It's like we're in this disclosure phase of certain things being said, and it's like it's okay to disclose, which you go back not long ago, you were called a conspiracy theorist, or go get all the Reynolds wrap out of your thing and make a tinfoil hat out of it. Yeah. And now it's like, okay, I mean, if you can't see, and this is really where the awakening is, if you can't see, you've been around Game On, especially if you really know me. I always code talk about the G ones, and you know what I mean by G ones. G mentals. Let's just call them that. You should be able to put that. It's a one word that covers both of them. G mentals. What they are and actually what they are. I mean, this is be honest. But it almost seems to be a very much connected. But anyways, so yeah, back to what she's talking about, the child or the birth certificate.
Rules for things they don't like. Not enough school, smacking your child, shouting too loudly, and it's off to social services for the little one. When you get a bill, it's sent to you but belongs to your straw man, not you. That's why bills, fines, and summons start with Mr., Mrs., or Ms. Sometimes you'll see your surname in capitals, just like on a gravestone. That's because your straw man is dead and just a silly piece of paper, created before you could comprehend or even consent to it. When you go to court, you represent your straw man. So you, the human, take on any costs, fees, taxes, and fines involved for the straw man. The human you doesn't even need to pay them. But you made a contract.
What happened? What happened?
With the court by appearing on behalf of your legal personality or straw man, just like the government knew you would. Confused? Well, don't worry. The government doesn't want you to know anyway. If you knew, you'd stop paying things like council tax and parking tickets. Because when you go to court, you are representing your straw man. You are you, alive and made of flesh and blood. Your straw man or legal personality is a piece of paper created from your birth certificate. And you think it's you. What a silly Billy.
This is a certified true copy of my live statement of birth. You can get this by applying for it at the Registrar General. They'll give it to you. And it's very interesting because this is where it all began. This is the foundation document. All identification is generated from this document. And so if the foundation document is no good, anything that's made from it is no good. That means driver's licenses, health cards, everything. Now,
telling facts, people. If you don't know when you're
exactly
here, you're
he
speaking
meant
facts.
when he said, soon every American will be required to register their biological property. Now, your parents didn't realize what they were doing when they filled this out, and these didn't exist before 1933.
Wow.
Birth records were recorded in scripture, and these only came into being in 1933 when they hatched this plan.
Wow. Notice that. So before that, 33, otherwise people, what they used to do in their Bibles, right? They used to write down, the old folks did. Anybody who got older, remember some found a old, your ancestors' Bible, they'll have all marriage dates, all birth dates, and times and years of the children and the marriages and records. 1933 is when they went, oh, we got a hunch to run some more game on you. And that's what they do. It's this game. But as you see, you're not your straw man. It's a fake you. It's an actor you. It's actually not really you. A straw man. And when you wonder why, then the movies, there's a straw man in The Wizard of Oz. Here you go. Here you go. This occult knowledge has been hidden in plain sight in front of us for decades. You've seen what Wilson brought this in. This is definitely, even before my mom, who was early 80s, was born, almost a decade before she was born, this was implemented. So you're looking at 90, what are we in 2024? At 33, you're looking at this implemented in 1991. The registrar means you're under the king and queen. Registering for everything that you have to use the word register. You have to register for this and register for that. You're under a system of straw that is really, will go on, you'll get more.
They created a corporate fiction with a name just like yours. In doing this, they registered and monetized the spirit and soul of a living being. This denotes ownership. And when your parents were tricked into filling this out, they allowed your spirit and your soul to be monetized. And futures were sold on you. Now, this is my birth certificate. This is actually...
I'm going to add something that just throw a little bit of thing in it. This was also in cahoots with the Vatican. Let's talk about that. They're the ones that gave the thing, go conquer the world. If they're not Christians, that poo-poo, cahoots. We'll get on it anyways. But there's a reason they want to stamp that baby's birth certificate. They want to stamp that feet. They want to put that feet and put it on this document immediately. And why they use the feet? Because your feet, it's your baby's soul. Not only do they want to monetize you in the physical, it is a claim that they own your soul. That's the claim.
Actually, a share. See this red number? This A, I'm born in Canada. This is a Class A share. Now, this is called a CUSIP number. And all securities require a CUSIP number. And that's what this is. And you are held as collateral to secure the debt, which our government owes to international bankers. So you and me and all these people here are actually collateral. And we don't even own our lives. We are chattel.
Just telling the truth, you're cattle.
I made an application to the Registrar General, and I got my original social insurance application. Now, before they sent it to me, they put a little piece of paper over this before they photocopied it, because my friend has his, and they didn't block this out, and when you hold it up, you see Bank of Canada. It is said that the best slaves are the ones who don't know that they're enslaved, and we all have invisible chains on us, and we don't know it.
What truth? That you are a slave. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
We're talking about big bucks. We're not talking about hundreds of millions or even hundreds of billions now. We're talking about trillions of dollars. The obligation is immeasurable. Nobody can measure it.
This door's wide open now. It's gonna happen, whether you like it or not.
Do you notice that they have the same amount of ink on them? Do you notice that they're made out of the same virtually worthless stuff? It's paper. Did you get it? It's paper. When we create money, we have created an instrument of value that has no value of its own. And it's just as expensive or inexpensive to print the 20 as it is to print the 1. In January of 1913, in December of 1913, he signed the Federal Reserve Act, bringing the Federal Reserve System into place in America, and did what Thomas Jefferson said must never happen. He took the control of the money away from the people by taking it away from the Congress and gave it to a group of private individuals who have to pay taxes on the money they loan the government.
All right, obviously disappointing ending to the game.
This is definitely something we don't want to see. This wasn't what this was about. So we're going back up here. We got another video, but I got a couple statements to say about that. How's that ended? This is something that, if you are new here and you've never heard this, I don't make my channel about this usually, but I've been asked by some really faithful members too. And as long as they don't block me, but if they do, go watch this on Rumble, because it won't be blocked there. Because that stuff will be on Rumble, and if that ends up happening, but I know people are putting it out a lot more harsher than me, and they ain't getting dinged. So it's almost like there's a state now of disclosure going on now, but everything was said was true. Thomas Jefferson did say that. Abraham Lincoln did warn that once the European bankers get in, if they get their foots in, we're done. I'm going to tell you when it happened. It happened at the end of the Civil Wars, really, when the damage was done to this country, of not being a country, but being a corporation. That's why everything's written, like she said, when you get bills and everything's when you see United States all in capitals, it's the corporation. When you see your name on the bill in capitals, why do you pay a bill? Because the bill's to the straw man, not you. And then they're taking our money, which they got, and they're charging us the taxes for their loaning. Now, this is what we're talking about, the mark in all this stuff. But watch Jordan Maxwell. If you don't know who Jordan is, Jordan, many of you listening know who Jordan is. He was a man that was telling the truth about every aspect of the culture, of the government, of religion, and every aspect in between, how it was really ran and what was really going on. He was really implementing this with even ancient knowledge, where things came from, where religion came from, and all this different stuff, and the polytricks. And he's going to talk about the birth certificate, and this one maybe just a tad longer. No, it's even shorter. So we're going to get into this one.
Of law on the earth that rule the whole world, but most people don't know that.
You start from the beginning.
You see, there are two kinds of law. This is a subject I love. I've been talking about this for years. There are two kinds of law on the earth that rule the whole world, but most people don't know that. All over the world, all governments are ruled by what is called civil law. Civil law goes back to a Latin word, which goes back to the word illy. Oh God, I mean, we could go on for hours on this stuff. Civil law, which is called in all countries the law of the land. So you'll say, well, you can't do that because that's against the law of the land. The law of the land is civil law, Roman civil law, the law of the land. But there is a second law which also operates all over the earth identical. It's called UCC, Uniform Commercial Code. That is the law of God in the world of business. I don't care if you're in Japan, in Africa, in China, in Istanbul, Turkey. If you have a company, if you have a corporation, if you are doing business where you buy and sell and make money, you are operating on this earth under something called UCC, Uniform Commercial Code. Because if all countries worked on a different commercial code, then nobody could do business with anybody. You couldn't trust Japan to pay you. Japan couldn't trust America to pay them for the cars, because everybody has their own laws. Under the Caesars of Rome, they established under Caesar that all nations in the empire that do business, everybody plays on a level field. If you do business in Africa with China, you pay them. And if Africa does business with American companies, you pay them. You pay whatever it is you're doing business. You don't mess around. The most severe law in this world is called UCC, Uniform Commercial Code. It's the Bible of business on the earth. Uniform Commercial Code. Uniform Commercial Code is based directly on Vatican canon law, on the Roman canon law. Consequently, when a ship pulls into port, it pulls in and stops, and it's called in its berth. The ship is now in its berth. Because it is on the law of the high seas, or commercial maritime, UCC, commercial.
Okay, listen to this. Did you notice where he said this is the law of the sea, and the ports are called berths? Notice birth certificate. They spell it BERTH in the sea, but it's the same word when you start knowing, like the lady said, Black's dictionary, and the one before this, remember, said this comes from the Black dictionary, law dictionary. Why? Because this is when you see these languages mean way more, and it's applied way more than you're taking it to mean. It's actually not what you take it to mean. That's why when you're going around calling yourself black, white, brown, That's maritime law. Nobody is actually black, white, brown. That's actually laws of the sea. Actually, it's actually black law. Black law dictionary. Black means you have no inalienated rights. You're less than you don't get any rights. You don't. White means you're free. And guess what? When you go into these meanings of what they mean, it has nothing to do with skin color. It has absolutely nothing to do with being skin color at all. That wasn't more than 200 to 300 years ago that we started calling people looking with lighter skin, we called them white, and people with darker skin, we called them black. Nobody called each other that in the past. It was foreign. It didn't make sense. And then all of a sudden they start doing it. They did it for this reason, to run game. Nobody's a crayon. Nobody. And also, what he's saying, listen to what he's saying about the birth, because this ties into your certificate. Birth. Remember the law of the sea. What happens when a woman gives birth? She had water burst. The sea. That's the law of the sea. Let's go.
Law rules the seas. So when the ship pulls into its berth, the first thing the captain must do is to present a certificate of manifest to the port authorities, which means that the port authorities need to know how much is on this ship that you're bringing into our country and our economy. How many TVs, how many cars, whatever you're bringing, how much are you bringing into our economy? So you have to have a certificate of manifest of what is the value of your ship here. What are you doing? Consequently, when you are born, you come out of your mother's water. Therefore, you must have a birth certificate, a certificate of manifest, because you are a corporation-owned item. You are a human resource. This goes back to the German Nazi concept that every human coming out of their mother's water must be birthed. And therefore you have to have a certificate, a manifest, to see how much this individual is going to make for us in our new world order. I'm telling you that until you understand the laws, the symbols, the emblems, what these words mean, you're never going to suspect how far gone we really are. Did you know, for instance, that your birth certificate is a security on the stock exchange in the New York stock market? Did you know that? Because if you order your birth certificate, get a new one, order your birth certificate, it'll only cost you, sometimes it's free, it'll only cost you a few dollars. Order your birth certificate. On your birth certificate, all birth certificates in this country, on the bottom, it will tell you this is printed on security papers. Do not accept if not on full color security paper. Then on the right hand corner, you will always have a series of numbers, red numbers, printed on the birth certificate. Those numbers are a security stock exchange number on the World Stock Exchange. You go to any good stock office and ask them, check these numbers in your computer and see how much this stock is worth, the certificate. And they will check it on the New York Stock Exchange and find your birth certificate is a stock on the stock exchange in America. Why? Because you are worth money to the international bank that bought you in 1930. We need to wake up. This is serious stuff.
Wow. That's great.
This is fascinating.
You live in Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Told you. Yeah. Patty, went to depth, but didn't go to depth using those videos. This runs deep. This runs into that you could actually take that security number, match it up, and if you were to catch a dollar bill and see the security number and it matched your security number, that's you as a straw man. Yeah, this is how the things ran. So we're looking at nearly 100 years of running this game. And the masses, of course, don't know it. It's always hidden in plain sight. Keep them, that's why the awakening is huge. We wake up at how this reality, this 3D lower realm, low density reality really, really, really is. This is part of the game they ran. That's why the Civil War happened in 1771. And what happened out of that war is total bankruptcy. And the only way to rebuild it was for the North to give power to the bankers. And that done us in. We're not a government as far as a country. We are a corporation. And that's a fact. We are a corporation. You individually are looked at as being owned by the corporation. Like I said, putting your feet on the document, your soles of your baby feet represented them owning you. Even owning it to, they feel, to your soul. Yeah, that's the real deal. That's why we need an awakening and see what really is going on. I've known this for a long time. I mean, I've known this, God. Even before I had my spiritual awakening, I knew the corruption of stuff. I was turned on by a friend of mine who's actually Jewish to a book called Don't Dare Call It Conspiracy. And when I read that book, I came out changed. But the reality, I always, even as a young boy, had these experiences spiritually and knowingly that something was not right with this place spiritually and governmentally. I remember even being a teen saying, we need a revolution. But if you were to ask me, what do you mean, Danny, we need a revolution? What are you trying to say? I could not at that point pinpoint the knowledge to tell you why, but within I knew it because I believe it carried over with me from the last times I made this journey into taking on skin. So you guys have a great day. There's your BC. I got something else I'm going to match up next. It's on this lines. Not necessarily directly the BC, but what's happening now. We know about the day Diddy, right? The day Diddy, in this week period, we had 3 aspects happen, which will be on the next video. Diddy, to me, was all about getting our eyes pointed at him and not seeing the okie doke and the bananas, multiple bananas in the tailpipe during that same week or so of the Pope in Indonesia and the UN in New York City at the UN office. So we're going to definitely get into that. You guys have a great day. Yeah, it's time to make your stands, folks, and really get it. What's really this is about. Just like that guy was saying, holding up the money. It takes just as money to print $100 bills as a $1 bill because it's not real value. We have not had anything backed by any silver or gold for a long time. It's just printed paper. What ends up happening is you look at Venezuela a few years ago, what happened? The paper was just thrown in the streets because it wasn't even worth doing anything with. You guys have a great day. Wake up. Your power is you, not something outside of you that siphons stuff. You know what you hear me? Holler if you hear me. I'm talking, we're getting to the nitty-gritty. It's time to take into the head, but be aware what's going on outside of you and what could be cooking up in this 3D pitfall of reality. You guys have a great day, but your soars within. That's what, and this is why I don't dwell on this place of that. And I consciously did it. A lot of it is because of the shadowing they were doing, blocking and stuff. But also, I can find out a lot of information of how things are done. I know a lot. I know when I tell you to know about gematria, how that works, there's a reason that I don't stay in those places. I really made my conscious here. What I put out content was for people to really build themselves and find themselves and go to their power, wake up, because the awakening will happen with that. But I was asked to, and it's part of it. Don't think this part's not part of it. This is the dark side that comes through with being a knower, right? Besides the greatness that you have within you and the potential that you've been lowered from, right? Even in the fall of man, even without the fall and then the programming outside ourselves, but them who want power, who burn down libraries, but don't really burn down the library books, but take them and steal them, but burn down the building and then act like they burned down the books, which we know they didn't. Actually, what they've concealed, to many of us, we see quite clearly. Yeah, that happens in different areas with different groups and different people in power, whether it's families, whether it's religious, whether it's the banking system, that we just kind of went into, that's the foundation of your banking system. Did you know that California Constitution was not to allow banks here in California, only credit unions? Yeah, not banks, because they knew banks, your ancient folks that were 200 and 300 years ago, they knew that getting the European bankers was death to your freedoms. They would pit one, fund one side and fund the other and get you into wars. And then your young men and now young women, young men getting killed, thinking they're really being honorable, when really the sad is okie doke. It's time for the truth comes out now. You guys have a great, great day. Great, great day. So what you're going to have? Oh yeah, Cash App. D-Boy. Small D, small B. D-Boy, WCU. D-B, small D, B-O-Y, WCU. Daniel Abril, with a Daniel with the A in the name, with the D and the A of Daniel. Abril being the only capitals. D-Boy is all small letters. West Coast Uncensored, all small letters. So definitely, I'm not trying to be a corp, which comes from the word corpse. Why do you think that in the corporations are all built on cement? Why? Because corpses get buried in the cement in the big, how when people with a lot of money go to these places, these, what are the names of them, where cement, and they put their bodies in there instead of burying them, mausoleums. It's the corporation. Corporations. Corpses. They're dead. That's why your straw man is connected to the corporations. He's a dead man. Corpse. Corporations. Dead men. Not live men. Dead men. Not live man. Not real man. Not authentic man. Inorganic. That's why I said in the movie you had Judy Garland skipping around. She had a straw man. That represented the straw man. That represented the invalid you. You guys have a great day.